WXYZ.
So all four, to finish this off, because we haven't got many of the... Well, there's no X's. There's one Y and two Z's. So we're just going to do the whole lot.
Pop that cork.
3 shelves. Pop that cork. So film number 1 is Wadjda. So you haven't seen this, have you?
No, but I'd like to, because it looks magical.
So Haifa Al-Mansour is a female director from Saudi Arabia.
It's got a lot of stars on that cover.
It's got a lot of stars on the cover, and phrases like rapturously uplifting, phenomenal. So this was made kind of outside the law, with the director is not seemingly welcomed for a woman to direct films in Saudi Arabia. So she sat inside buildings while it got filmed outside, and she watched it on a monitor. So it's kind of done under strange circumstances for a film.
How did it get a release then?
Because I think it's like Western. Oh, it was Soda Pictures distributed it. It's like Western European countries helped to produce it, but she just had to pretend she wasn't directing it because she's not allowed.
Right.
So it's about a little girl who all she wants is a bicycle, and everyone tells her that she can't have a bicycle because girls don't ride bikes in Saudi Arabia. And it's kind of like 400 blows and...
Etre et avoir.
Yes, films about children, where it's kind of... It doesn't feel like it's not a kids' film. It's a film that just happens to be like the kids are the main characters.
I like that.
It's wonderful.
I like it. The look of that.
Yeah, it's really good. Then we've got 2 copies of The Wages of Fear, because they've got different extras on. There's a BFI release and a Criterion release. So we talked about Sorcerer the other day. The lorry with the TNT in.
Oh yeah, through the Amazon.
Yeah, this is the original. So Wages of Fear is from 1953.
Well, have you got 2 copies?
Because one's the Criterion with different special features to the BFI one.
What would you recommend to see, that one or the other one?
Or Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Both in a double bill.
But if you had to say one?
I think personally I preferred Sorcerer because it's got Roy Scheider in it. So it wins for me. This is amazing though. They're both very tense. They're both very...
And this one's got bogey in.
No.
Oh.
It's French.
Oh.
It's a man who looks like Bogey.
Yeah, the French bogey.
Grizzly-faced Bogey.
Is he Charles Van Al?
I don't know which one. Who's who? I didn't know any of the people in it.
We know that name though, don't we? Henry Georges.
Yeah, Henri Georges Clouzot did Eyes Without a Face and a number of other thrillery type things. Yeah. So I think, if I remember rightly, how many minutes is this version?
This is upsetting on an environmental level.
Oh, it's... Yeah.
I thought it was more about the tenseness of them about to
it
get
is.
blown up.
It is. There's a massive fire and they need to put it out. There's a derrick on fire, an oil well on fire.
Yeah.
And they have
Why are the other ones carrying explosives?
So the whole premise of it is the oil well's on fire and it's so out of control, the only thing they can possibly do
Pour more oil on it.
Blow it up with TNT.
That is such a man response to a situation.
Pour more fire on it. So they have to drive across the jungle with a lorry full of... 2 lorries with TNT in that they can only go... It's a bit like the opposite of speed. They can't go too fast. They also can't go too slow because they have to get there.
Yeah.
But it
sounds annoying.
It's just really super tense. Excellent thriller. Excellent. Next is a brilliant but horrible film, Waking Fright.
Okay.
Falls into folk horror, but only by virtue of the fact that it's
snails or
creepy.
Frogs.
No. So Waking Fright is about a guy in the Australian outback, a little mining town, and he gets tangled up in their weird world, and it's got that horrible... Like, Australian films always have that, like... It's a bit nightmarish, isn't it, somehow?
Bit lawless.
Yeah, it's like westerns, even though they're like now.
Well, it's
Even though
frontier towns a lot of the time, isn't it?
This is from 1971, so I mean, they put it in a brutal, gripping dissection of the limits of masculinity and amorality to stand alongside Straw Dogs, Clockwork Orange, and Deliverance.
Ugh,
So
3 of my favourites.
it's in that box. It's brilliant.
Not for me.
Next, we haven't had one of his for a while. Richard Linklater, Waking Life.
I'm not here to that.
So, you know, we had the one, where was that? Scanner Darkly, that was Keanu Reeves as a like investigative spy type thing.
Yeah.
That was all filmed and then drawn over, rotoscoped.
Yeah.
This is rotoscoped as well, and it's a kid's dream world. The best thing about this, or the thing that I find really interesting about this, is that we've got the Before Sunset films with Judy Delphi and Ethan Hawke playing the same characters all the way through. They're in this as well. So in one of the bits of the kid's dream, they're there as cartoon versions, and it's played by them. It's only for like 2 minutes or something, but it's quite nice that they exist in that world as well.
That should definitely be watched.
It's a bit weird.
Why do people have to rotoscope stuff?
Because it makes things look
like graphic novels.
Yeah, it makes it dreamy, doesn't it? Because it's all different kinds of animation in it.
Isn't it weird though that we've gone from cartoons, then real life animations of those cartoons, and now.
Well, this is from 2001. Rotoscoping is a weird thing. So
Nice,
sometimes it
rich tapestry.
Next is Watchmen.
Which we've been meaning to watch the series.
Yeah, so
is it based on this film?
So this is based on that graphic novel that you picked up in the room the other day. You know, when you're looking for something to read, you picked up Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
So the film is based on that graphic novel.
Right.
The TV series is based on the idea. It's not either of this. It's not that story, but it's the same world.
Right.
So Watchmen is like the sort of pre-gritty new Marvel films. It's like as if superheroes were real and they're flawed and they're like real people. The graphic novel is one of the best novels that's ever been written. The film is not well loved, but I think it's great. We've got the Blu-ray of this. We've also got on the Apple TV. There's the 4K ultimate cut of this. So this is the director's cut and is 3 hours 6 minutes.
Oof.
The director's cut's about 4.5 hours, I think, because in the book when you read it, there's a kind of subplot of one of the characters is reading a comic, and you get to see those comics as well. And in the ultimate cut, it's got that comic in as a cartoon in amongst the scenes of this. It's a bit weird. So I bought it as a download because I'm probably only ever going to watch that one once.
Yeah.
Because I don't really need it all together. I'm happy with this.
Good.
But I love it. Next, The Ultimate Nightmare.
Squish, squish.
Watership Down. Lovely Criterion edition. It's one of my favourite things.
I can't even look at the cover.
Not even one of my favourite films. It's one of my favourite things. Watership Down.
Brutalising.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah.
When we screened it, so this is allegedly the U certificate film that's had the most complaints to the BBFC in ever.
I don't think anyone under the age of 35 should.
But even then,
allowed to
anyone
watch it.
over 35 who's experienced the death of a pet shouldn't be allowed to watch this.
Yeah, you need a certain level of resilience.
Well, I think you probably need to have just been in a box for your entire life and not have any recognition of what even these things are moving in front of you on screen.
Maybe.
That's the only way you could survive it, I think.
Yeah. I loved it as a kid, though. I watched it over and over.
I don't think I saw it till I was an adult, see. So I didn't have that. It's only ever been devastatingly sad. There's never been it's a nice cartoon about rabbits. But I read the book several times when I was a kid and loved it. I mean, the stuff that I love in this is the animations of like the the myths that are almost like Aborigine drawings of how the rabbit loses his tail and all that stuff, and then the bit at the end with Hazel.
Oh, don't.
Anyway, Watch It Down is wonderful. When we screened it at the cinema, there was somebody there with a child who was in their teens, and they had to leave early because there was some crying.
Snowflakes.
Next up, one of my favourite films of the 80s.
Mine too.
Weird Science.
W is a good letter for me.
It's great, isn't it? Weird Science. I've lost track of how many times I've seen this. What I
Don't
do...
threaten me, Al. You're out of shape. I'll kick your ass.
Who is that Gary character? This has got more quotes in for me than the things we quoted yesterday.
Well,
Just
I
forgotten
can't
about
believe
it.
on May the 4th day.
I don't like the May the 4th thing,
Of
though.
course you don't.
I don't like jokes about Star Wars.
It's not a joke.
It is. Because it's May the 4th. Don't make a pun out of it.
You love a pun.
No, but not a Star Wars pun. Some things shouldn't be punned. Yeah. Weird Science.
Wyatt.
This has got extra scenes in, the same as Stand By Me that I haven't seen yet. I
Okay.
need to get on that. It's the lovely Arrow edition with a nice book and lots of extras, actually.
There's a line in there where she says, "Don't come at me with your Rex Harrison hat." And then when I saw a film with Rex Harrison in, I thought, oh, okay.
Now I get it.
Now I get it.
It's I was talking to somebody online yesterday about 16 Candles and how that's quite difficult now because of some of the storyline. And Weird Science has the potential to be quite problematic. Two teenage boys create women in the image they want.
But she's totally in control.
Yeah, she's totally in control.
They're
they
little
are.
boys.
Yeah, they haven't got a clue how to handle her.
No, I'm more worried.
And she sorts their lives out. It's not like it's not. She's only objectified by the way she's shot for us to look at. For them, they're terrified of her.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
And they have relationships with age-appropriate girls.
Yes.
It's not
Very much so.
a thing with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great.
It's fantastic. Then comes we need to talk about Kevin.
Excellent.
Yes, it's a tremendous film.
Great book as well.
It highlights to me how disappointing it is, though, that the majority of Lynn Ramsey's films are not available on Blu-ray, and I would like all of them.
Also, that they should make more films of Lionel Shriver's books.
I haven't read any of the others.
They're good.
I mean, Tilda Swinton in this is just amazing, isn't she? You can't believe she's just brilliant.
Confirms a lot of life choices about not having children.
Yeah, Kevin is a problem, isn't he? And Ezra Miller is now a problem in real life.
What do you mean?
He punched somebody in the face the other day, a woman on film.
What?
He punched a fan.
Well, we don't know the backstory to this.
Wow.
Not that it's right, but I don't even know that's true. That could be fake
I
news.
saw the video. Anyway, let's not accuse him until it's been analysed. Next in the W's is another. Anyone would think that I'd bought my favourite films. It's another of my favourites is Westworld.
Yeah, we watched the first series of this.
Of the TV series.
Yes.
Yes, this is the film.
Yes, we need to see this.
Yes, this is 1973. Yul Brynner as the cowboy. Written and directed by Michael Crichton.
It ticks all the boxes, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
so it's Jurassic Park 20 years earlier
Yeah.
with a cowboy and instead of a
This
T-Rex.
could be a good movie for In the Garden.
I think it would work in the garden. My favourite thing about that TV series was the little callbacks to this. Of like, there was a room that they went through at some point, and it was a remake of the set of this, as though this 1970s version had been a previous version of the theme park, and the one we were watching in the TV series was just
That's nice.
like Disney World 2.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
nice.
This is great. It's clunky, but
The ideas were all there.
yeah, it's actually really scary.
Like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, it's just a really good story. It's a good science fiction.
Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally.
Yay. Did you get this because of me?
No. I don't think I got it because of you. This is like Ghost.
How did this end up in your collection?
I bought it because we showed it at Christmas, so I bought the Blu-ray because of that.
Because
but I did like it anyway. This is another one like Ghost, and oh no, that's horror. I was about to say Ghost and Dirty Dancing, but this is infinitely better than Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing I liked, but this is a great American comedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's one of those films which is just scene after scene after scene of good.
Yeah. It's Nora Ephron.
Yeah.
And it's just two actors at their peak. And Rob Reiner.
And other people that are good in it. Carrie Fisher's great in it.
She's
What's
great.
the guy called who goes out with Carrie Fisher? The guy with the moustache. He's really good. I can't think what the actor's name is. He always plays like that guy.
Yeah. I don't know what his name is.
It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Bruno Kirby.
Is it?
Well, that's what it says here.
It's the only other person in it, isn't it? And all the old couples and stuff are brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a really good film.
It's great.
And now on to the next row. So we've got Where the Buffalo Roam.
This looks like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
That's because it's Bill Murray as Hunter S. Thompson in the Hunter S. Thompson film that came before Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
They've used the same font.
Yeah, I think that's probably the people who made this DVD have made it look like it's... So this, I only saw recently, and I'm going to do, when we get back open again at some point, a double bill of this and Fear and Loathing. Because there are people out there who would love to see the two of these. But I'm going to have to buy the American version of this, because this is the British one. And they didn't get the rights to clear all the music. So this is supposed to be... It's like set in the late 70s. This is supposed to have a like 70s rock soundtrack. That's what Hunter S. Thompson would have been listening to. And they couldn't clear it in the UK. So it's full of like 80s, like Aha type, but not that there's anything wrong with Aha, but like bands that sound a bit like that. So seeing Hunter S. Thompson out of his gourd, sitting in a hotel room, listening to Duran Duran type music doesn't really work.
But that's probably more realistic. You know, if you're going to glamorise alcoholism.
No, but it's just anachronistic. It's not the music that was around at the time. They haven't even tried to just fake it. It's interesting. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is obviously more like fulfilling as a crazy nightmare, but I think Bill Murray does Hunter S. Thompson better than Johnny Depp does.
Well, let's not even get into that.
He was hanging out with Hunter S. Thompson, and I just read that book about Wild and Crazy Guys, the book about 80s comedians.
Yeah.
So Bill Murray just was Hunter S. Thompson on set. He was hateful on set because he just stayed in character as Hunter S. Thompson for the entire thing.
He doesn't usually do that, does he?
He went full method. Next up, another 80s thriller in the style of what was the
I don't know what you're saying.
To Live and Die in LA.
I don't know what
So this is The White of the Eye.
White of the Eye.
Height of the Eye. Directed by Donald Cammell, that did Performance. It's a serial killer type film, very stylishly 80s.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's one of those like...
Who is this?
Who?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the actor's name is.
Where's it set?
LA type area. California.
I mean, it looks shit.
It's not.
Mm.
It's very interesting. Next, Wicker Man. Wicker Man. We had to turn it off the other day because it had a frog in.
No, the snails.
The snails, yes. Right, well, we'll have to skip past the snails and watch the rest of it because it's one of the greatest British films ever made. One of the best horror films ever made. It's one of the 4 fundamental folk horror films.
I mean, just the 70s give me the creeps anyway.
I know, they do
And
me
waging
too.
a war against snails as it is.
You hate how much I talk about folk horror.
I hate how much you talk about folk horror and also The Wicker Man.
Right. Next is David Lynch's Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
Laura Dern, Nicolas Cage.
Two greats.
Can't go wrong.
I mean, the story's a bit...
Well, it's Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. It is a unique and transfixing piece of cinematic history. They're right.
I love it. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Watched it the other day.
We did, didn't we? Because we needed a lockdown ease, and I fell asleep about 20 minutes in, as I generally always do.
Sang every word to every song.
I bet you did.
Oompa, doompa, doompa-dee-doo.
You're just Gene Wilder. That's all we need to say. Next, so we had Paris, Texas earlier.
Yeah.
Wings of Desire, Wim Wenders as well. You would love this one, because who's in this one? Columbo's in that one. Peter Falk, playing Peter Falk.
What do you mean?
He's in the film as himself.
What? Okay. Well,
So this is about an angel that comes down to Berlin.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest art house films. Wonderful. Then we've got Winter's Bone.
I loved it.
Yeah. Jennifer Lawrence. This falls into folk horror as well. Just to
Why?
let you know. Because it's backwards. It's something going on beneath the surface that's not mainstream. Like, there's a kind of element. It could be a bit pagan-y in the background.
It's a stretch.
And there's a bit of that, like, people ganging up and you being the only one outside the circle, which is a big thing in folk horror for me. Jennifer Lawrence, her big breakthrough in Deborah Granick. I think Deborah Granick's debut. So Deborah Granick made this, then she made Leave No Trace.
So, kind of similar. Very similar.
Outdoorsy. Deborah Granick's genre is outdoorsy. Next up, it's folk horror central down here, isn't it? The Witch.
The Witch.
The Witch. I really want to watch this again because this is the nice 4K edition, and I think it's probably going to look absolutely spectacular. You need to get on this.
Maybe soon.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, it's folk horror again. Witchfinder General. Christopher Lee in It's not Christopher Lee. I'll have to do that again now. Vincent Price in Witchfinder General. Vincent Price playing Matthew Hopkins, who's the real life. He was the Witchfinder General in the whatever it is, 1600s, 1500s.
If you don't know.
I haven't seen this for a long time. I bought this because I was very pleased to be able to get the kind of 4 key folk horrors. So I'm going to have to watch this again. I remember it being very nasty.
Right.
Because it's witch hunting and torturing people.
Women, mainly.
No, there's a man getting a terrible torturing.
Oh, a man had a hard time once, did he?
A terrible torturing.
Is that the one that sticks out for you?
Yeah, well, the rest of blur. With no.
Once again, that oops.
So there's a nice steelbook of this with a poster in it, but it's the steelbook from the. There's the Blu-ray, that's got a DVD version in as well, because the DVD had some stuff on that they didn't ever put on the Blu-ray.
What's that inside?
A poster. But we've also got this in a lovely box set, which is yours, isn't it?
That you bought for me.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
That's got how to get. No, is it how to get ahead in advertising? The thing with where he's got 2 heads.
Well, that is a film.
Yeah, it's in the box set.
No.
It is. It's in there.
Are you
It's
sure?
both films.
I'm not sure it is.
It is. I know it is.
Okay.
For a fact.
That's fun. One of my few DVDs that I own.
Yeah. With Nail is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it is perfect.
It is perfect.
Then is another film that I think is perfect, is Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
So this is the DVD box set again because the Blu-ray's in here, but the DVD box set had a 3rd disc that hasn't been reproduced on the Blu-ray. That includes the earlier versions of Wizard of Oz stories, So there's films of The Wizard of Oz from 1910, The Magic Cloak of Oz from 1914, His Majesty the Scarecrow of Oz 1914, The Wizard of Oz remake 1925, a silent version with Oliver Hardy. That's the silent version with Oliver Hardy, and then The Wizard of Oz 1933 cartoon. So all the different versions are on there. I haven't watched any of them yet. I've had that for 15 years. Need to get on those. Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. Pedro Almodovar.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a severe lack of Almodovar in here, but he's not well
There
represented on
is.
Blu-ray. There was a box set that came out reasonably recent, a couple of years ago. It's only got 3 or 4 of the films in. I had 2 DVD box sets, and they just haven't been upgraded. Because for some reason they don't want to. No one wants to release his films on Blu-ray.
It's a shame. He's great.
Have you seen this one?
Yes.
It's good, isn't it?
Lovely.
Farcical black comedy, which is slightly off. Well, it's one of his earlier ones of those.
He represents women very well, and his films are always very interesting, aren't they?
Yes.
Not the norm.
No. Right, so that's all the W's. We have no X's. There is an X-Men box set of all of them somewhere, but it's in a box somewhere. Y, we only have one Y, which is Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo. So, Yojimbo is Fistful of Dollars.
Oh, okay.
So this was made in 1961. Fistful of Dollars is what, 64, 65, something like that. So yeah, Sergio Leone just remade this. So in this, the Clint Eastwood character is Toshiro Mifune, the kind of key Akira Kurosawa actor as a samurai.
How did these directors see these films though?
Because you had to be in the right places to be able to see. They didn't get released in the UK or the USA, so I think probably in Europe, Sergio Leone probably could have seen it. So like George Lucas and Spielberg and all that crew that saw Hidden Fortress and Seven Samurai and stuff, it's because they were at University Film College in LA, and people brought prints in for them to watch.
Oh.
Which is why you can then remake Hidden Fortress and nobody went to see Star Wars and went, hey, that's Hidden Fortress. Because no one's seen it.
Clever.
Yeah. Yojimbo's, I haven't seen Sanjuro yet, so this is the 2 films, Yojimbo and Sanjuro. Sanjuro being the sequel. Yojimbo is amazing. I know that's my review of all these things, but it is amazing. Next, that's the Y's. Z for Zodiac. One of my favourites of the Finchers.
Yeah.
Which is saying something, isn't it? Because I seem to like all of them. But Zodiac is...
You do bang on about Zodiac quite a bit.
I mean, it's brilliant.
It's a perfect little thriller, really.
It's a perfect little thriller. I think it's also fascinating the fact that it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. And then I watched it with the commentary tracks, and I really enjoyed the kind of, oh, this is how it was made. Because there's a lot of stuff in this that's CG, and you'd never know it's CG. It's like scenes where no one else would do CG. They're full of it, just to make things more expansive, or to just film a tiny little set and then build the background in a computer. There's loads of it. And then the thing that really blew my mind was when there's a documentary on it, a feature-length documentary, with interviews with the original investigators and some of the victims who survived. And they talk about this very movingly as David Fincher's captured it exactly how they remembered it.
Wow.
So remember there's a bit where 2 people get stabbed lying on a beach.
Yeah.
The guy who survived, he said when he first watched it, there's a shot that's from his point of view of the girl lying on the floor.
Yeah.
And he said it was how he remembered it.
Had David Fincher talked to him then?
I think he'd read people's views of it, but like visually he made it, like he said he saw it and it was like the memory he had in his mind of it actually happening. So I kind of got obsessed with it as like, wow, how have you made a film that's actually like the best version of a documentary of it that you could make?
Yeah.
It's a great film, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Excellent thriller. And then the very last film here, Lucio Fulci's Zombie Flesh Eaters. Can't go wrong with that.
Naturally.
Have you seen this one?
What do you think?
Yeah. So this is like in the wake of your Night of the Living Deads and stuff. Italian made. It's got some of the greatest zombie scenes in. Like I love those George Romero ones, but they're more like Walking Dead that get shot and that's it. This has got lots of things being eaten and like gouging and stuff. It's a special effects masterpiece, and it's creepy as hell.
One of the worst things like that I find is, you know, in Scrooged, where his boss holds him out the window.
Yes.
Blake Carrington from Dynasty, whatever that actor is, and he's holding onto his arm and it's all snapping off in his hand.
Yes.
That's gross, isn't it? But it still gets me every time.
Yes. Is it Blake Carrington?
The actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's his name?
I don't know.
But that kind of crispy arm.
Yes.
That's what that cover looks like.
It's all like that. It's like these are like, you know, Night of the Living Dead, they just look like pale people. Dawn of the Dead, they're kind of blue. This, they actually look like they've been buried for a while. It's like bits falling off them and stuff. Because this is more like voodoo zombies than whatever the Night of the Living Dead ones are, like a passing meteor or something. This has one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen of zombies, which is a zombie underwater going to an island. So he's walking along the bottom of the sea and he fights a shark.
Oh my
And he
god.
bites the shark's throat out.
Does that make a shark zombie?
No, 'cause he kills it outright.
Oh.
It's also got those great sorts of shots of like hordes of zombies strolling into Manhattan. It's really good.
You could be probably a professional zombie actor in the 70s in America.
I think you probably could, and I think there's probably people who've made a living out of being in Walking Dead. Yeah, there's that one guy who's like super duper like medically skinny, like he's not just starved himself, he's tiny, and he's in loads of episodes of Walking Dead because whenever they need one that's got barely any flesh on, they just stick some prosthetics on him. He's made a career out of it. Okay, so if we're going to go for Desert Island, for W's, I'm going to take Wicker Man, and I'm going to take When Harry Met Sally, and I'm going to take Watership Down.
Hardcore.
What are you going for?
When Harry Met Sally, Westworld,
Bloody
and
Wadjda.
Wadjda.
There were some good films in there, weren't there?
Yeah.
I mean, Y is only going to be of the last three. I've got to take all three of them, so that's fine. So have you?
Yeah. So now the final question.
Yes.
So on your desert island,
Yeah.
they never do this in desert island discs, but unfortunately the island has been infected by red ants.
Yeah.
You know how you hate small inconveniences.
Yeah.
So you've had to build a little raft,
Oh boy.
but you can only fit 3 DVDs from your whole alphabet in the raft.
But I've got room for a Blu-ray player and a TV.
Well, who knows where you'll end up?
Oh, I'm taking them with me.
You're going off the island on a raft.
But these things will be available back on the mainland somewhere.
We don't know that.
Oh, well, that's a ludicrous rule, isn't it?
So, what 3 are you going to pick from the whole collection to take with you on your little raft?
Well, that's...
With a built-in... Do you know what it is? It's a lovely little boat, actually.
Oh, it's got a built-in player, is it?
Built-in player and TV.
Shining.
And you're probably going to be on the water for a long stretch.
Okay, The Shining.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really mean, isn't it?
Life is mean.
True. Matter of Life and Death.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One more.
Battle Royale. So if I land on another island, I've got a guide to how to kill everyone else on the island.
No Akira Kuroshara.
Nope.
No to Shikimiki.
Nope.
Well,
The Shining was always coming, wasn't it?
well, that's it now.
Just looked at In the Mood for Love. And Howard the Duck.
So was it The Shining? A Matter of Life and Death?
Yeah, and Battle Royale.
That's
But that's
not...
ridiculous because I've left behind everything else.
Yeah, are you happy with that choice?
Yes, because the other films haven't been destroyed. They still exist.
You might be at sea for months.
That's fine. Months is okay. We've been stuck in the house for months. What are you taking?
I'm going to take... Oh my good gosh. Well, if I'm on a boat on my own, I'll be scared.
Okay.
So I need comfort.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Not Jaws. You don't have Rear Window here, did you?
It's in the box set of the Hitchcocks.
I'll take Mildred Pierce.
Ooh.
For a bit of Joan Crawford.
Ooh.
And I would take 12 Angry Men.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good setup. You're going to have fun on that boat.
I know.
So am I. Different way. I'm just watching The Shining over and over again. So we've completed the alphabet.
We've done a thing, haven't
Yes,
we?
we're going to. I am going to do the one of the box sets. There's only one shelf of box sets.
I can't commit to that.
That's all right. And then we'll see what happens next.
I've really enjoyed it.
I have as well. Although it has made me just want to watch all of the films again.
Well, that's good.
Well, it's not because they've got all those ones to watch.
Well, choices.
New rewatch. New.
Well, it's opened my eyes to some other stories. I'm stuck in a bit of a rut, really.
Well, you need to start picking some of these to watch.
I know. I think I just, you go on about things and I just think, no.
Yeah.
But maybe
Just give it a try.
I might just give it a try.
So what's the worst that can happen? You don't like it. You didn't like it anyway.
Yeah. When you explain the stories, I think, yeah, I could get into that. But I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah, but we're stuck in a house.
I know, but the time just seems to fly by.
Yeah. And we're going to go and watch some nonsense now, anyway.
Star Wars.
Maybe.
You don't want to do that now?
I might do.
This is the problem with all this choice, isn't it? And then it's not only just this physical media.
Well, this is why
it's Netflix, Criterion, Mubi.
I've really enjoyed the fact that at the start of this, I organised the watch pile into alphabetical order, because that is taking the.
But you've got a watch list on Netflix.
Yeah.
You've got a watch list on Criterion.
Well, yeah, of course. But it's taking the choice out of this, so I'm just going, right, I've watched that, what's next? Take it, watch it. Oh, I've watched that, I'm not going to take it. So I know that there's stuff that I'm desperate to watch, but I'm not going to get to for weeks. But that's fine, because I'm working through other things that I obviously wanted to watch, otherwise I wouldn't have bought them. So it's good.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing some beauties.
Yeah. Talk us through what you've seen this week.
No, because we're on 39 minutes. Maybe that should be the next show.
But for this show, sayonara, my friend.
Sayonara, konnichiwa.
This is Mrs. Riv signing off.
Mr. Riv signing off at the end of the beginning of us talking shit on YouTube.
Let's
hope. Some people have listened all the way through. I hope they've enjoyed it. We've had nice comments from people.
It's been lovely to hear other people's thoughts and feelings on
and
things.
I've liked the ones where we've put it open as like, oh, we've only got 3 used. Does anyone else have any? And people have suggested good things that I'd completely forgotten about. Lots of them we have on the Skybox or on the Apple TV or on DVD somewhere in a box, but there have been some things that I've been reminded of that probably should be upgraded to.
Here's my final question to you.
Yes.
Do you think that you can ever complete a collection?
No.
Okay.
Because there are however many films come out each year.
Yeah.
And there are how many films exist that you can't get on DVD or you can't get on Blu-ray, and then suddenly they come out, and then that's another one. And my problem is, which happened when I had VHS as well, it's not a new thing, is that I went from not really having any idea about films at all, just liking Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark and stuff, knowing Spielberg and Lucas, but then watching things like Seven and Pulp Fiction in like early mid-90s and kind of going, oh, what, right, so this is all, there's already been a film by this man, Quentin Tarantino, it's Reservoir Dogs, I need to watch that one. And then becoming a completist of specific people and like kind of maybe not owning them all, but wanting to see all of them so that I can go, I have a view of
a body of work.
Yeah, what Quentin Tarantino is all about, rather than. But then I've always been the same. It's like I'm not the person who's got one song by each band on my Spotify playlist.
No,
if I like a band,
true.
I buy all their records.
You don't dip in, do you?
No, because I don't think it works for me. That. There would be very rarely something in here where there's a film by a director where I don't like any of the other things or have not watched any of the other things by them. And that then makes it difficult to complete a collection, because when you find, like, you go, oh, like last year, was it? Maybe the year before, where I watched a whole load of Billy Wilder films. I think it was when we bought the apartment, and it was like, oh, I'm going to watch the other Billy Wilders we've got. And then you realise that, like, actually, there's like 40 Billy Wilder films. You know, some people made a lot of films.
They did.
It's much easier when you get Lynn Ramsey or something and you can watch the 6 Lynn Ramsey films that exist so far. Like when you get somebody who's still making films and you can go, right, I've now seen all of them.
Kelly Reichardt.
I'm now really excited to see what they do next. Whereas somebody who's like that, the Ingmar Bergman box set that we have to get around to watching, the 30 films that are in it, that's not even everything Ingmar Bergman made.
I don't feel any pressure to get around to doing these things.
I feel all the pressure. It's all I think about.
What would you say to someone that's starting off a fledgling physical media collection? What would you say you would advise them to get? Say they've got like...
But would I?
One shelf.
If you haven't got things now...
You would advise someone to start a physical media collection?
Probably not.
Controversial.
Because of the convenience of having stuff on
but what about that?
Digital versions. The only problem is that you've got, like, if you buy stuff from iTunes, it's not necessarily there forever because the licenses still run out. So when you buy a Blu-ray or a DVD, you are buying a license to watch it on Blu-ray, but no one's going to come to your house and take it away. Whereas people have had films they've bought on streaming services that suddenly vanish, and when they contact Apple or whoever and say, well, what's happened to that? They say, oh, we're not allowed to show that anymore.
Yeah.
So you've lost it.
Well, the flip side to that is, though, if there's a fire...
Yes.
You lose all of this stuff. You haven't got it backed up in a cloud anywhere.
No, that's very true. But then I could just go and get it all on cloud. Like, I'd be very tearful about it, but I could just get it all again.
Yeah.
The other side of it is that... same with records. It's much nicer to have, like, I was just thinking that it's much nicer to have like a thing with a book in it and that's made out of nice cardboard, like the fetishization of the aesthetics of it.
Yes.
It's the same as why I'd rather have a pile of records downstairs than just a Spotify playlist of my favourite records, because it's not the same. It's a thing from 30 or 40 years ago. Whenever I used to go to house parties and stuff, the first thing you do is look at the records and look at the films. And if you go into somebody's house party and they've got a laptop with Spotify on, you can't tell what they like because Spotify's got everything on. But if you go to somebody, like if there were 10 records, you could go, oh, these are the 10 records you love. I can see what music you like. Spotify and Netflix is just, everyone's got everything. There's no individuality in it.
But some people might say there's more individuality because you can create playlists. So every song is a song.
Yeah, but I'm not going to look through
love.
your playlists. I could flick through a rack of records quickly and go, ooh, they like.
Well, some people might not like you rifling through their belongings, Ben. No wonder we don't get invited to parties.
That's what people like. If you've got stuff, you like people to have a look at it.
Now we get down to the nib.
No. But yeah, I don't know. If you haven't already started it, I don't know that it's probably a good thing to do because look at the space it takes up. But I do love picking something out of a shelf and rifling through a book, and And a lot of the time you don't get all the extras and stuff. You might be able to buy that film on iTunes, but it's not going to come with... Some of these things have got amazing like alternative versions of the films and the commentary tracks and all that sort of stuff. You don't
Has
get
this
that.
been good to refresh your memory of what's in these boxes?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good films, I think. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they are.
You know, there would be people obviously who would walk in here and go, why have you got these? Why haven't you got the Fast and Furious box set? You know, it's not my cup of tea.
I don't think you'd let anyone in this house that wanted to watch the Fast and Furious
I don't think
boxes.
you can say that. There might be listeners out there who love the Fast and Furious. But you know, it's a thing, isn't it?
It is a thing.
If you came and looked at this and went, oh, this is... Ben likes films, doesn't he? Oh, look at all these... Ben likes these. I'm not going to ask him to come and watch, I don't know, Fast and Furious 9 at the cinema when it comes out in the summer, because he's probably not going to want to go and see that. You can tell a lot about me from that. You know?
Sometimes, though, you know, your belongings can start to own you.
All right, Fight Club.
But maybe you should give Fast and Furious 18 a go.
I don't ever want to see any of them. I saw the opening 10 minutes or the 10-minute motorway thing. We're going on and on.
So what?
I saw the thing at the cinema where they played the first 10-minute motorway chase from one of the like the 6th one or 7th one, and because I used to go to the Odeon all the time, not Odeon, Cineworld all the time. I saw it about 4 times in a week. I don't ever want to see any of it again.
All I'm saying is,
Ludicrous.
as much as I might be not watching some films because I'm just put off by certain things, the same is true of you. It's just that there are different things that put us off.
That's true.
Not that I've ever seen a Fast and Furious film either.
And I'm not, you know, there are people who would look at this and go, why has he got this art house stuff and then he's got Pitch Perfect? What's wrong with you? You know?
Yeah. I think, you know, it's an equal playing field, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where whatever entertains you and lifts you up and draws you in,
yeah,
you can't judge.
And this, I think, this has got... Here's the one thing that you end up with physical media, is there is stuff... Like, it's been quite nice to do that Desert Island Disc thing as well, because there's a mix here of stuff that I find truly wonderful and entertaining and that touches my spirit and that I can't get enough of. There is also then a second tier here of stuff that I deeply admire, but I wouldn't say I enjoy in that way, you know?
Mm.
So there's stuff here that I've kind of got for its cultural value and that kind of thing as well, because I'm interested in the history of film as well as just watching films.
Yeah.
So like, I can't say that Birth of a Nation is enjoyable because of its awful Ku Klux Klan-y stuff.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't watch it that often, but I really appreciate it for what it meant in terms of filmmaking, and I like the fact it's there because it's an important document that I will watch occasionally. You know?
Yeah. I really think that you'll find Fried Green Tomatoes at the Woodstock Cafe an important work as well.
I'm not saying I won't.
So once you watch
I think
it.
I'll have to watch it. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure,
It has
Monomy.
indeed, yes. So we'll be back at some point, but that's enough of the alphabet.
Yeah, I'll pop the catalogue.
And I really apologise to those who found it offensive that the numbers were in amongst the films, the alphabet. I may have to put a new section of number films in numerical order.
Stick to your guns. You do you.
There have been some... I mean, there are problems here inherently. Like Rocky.
Right.
Rocky's here, but The Thin Man isn't. The box set.
We've got to stop at some stage.
Yeah, let's stop. It's 50 minutes.
Let's get a tiffin and have a cup of tea.
All right. If you haven't gone to sleep by now, please do. Au revoir. Bye.
Bye.